Hello everyone, welcome back to Cozy Baking with Deirdra, and today we are making these Jack Skellington inspired sugar cookies that are filled in the center with dark chocolate ganache. So if you can see, it has 2 layers of sugar cookie and it's smashed in between so you get the cool look in the eyes that are cut out. But for this spooky dessert idea, it's perfect for any Halloween party. You could also do it with any other shapes. You could do it with pumpkins, you could do it with anything that has holes inside, and you can stuff it with a filling. You could also do, I've seen a version where they do a blackberry filling. You could do a white ganache filling, whatever you want. If you're not already subscribed, why not? Please do. Okay, let's get into it. Let's do something a little bit fun and spooky while you bake with me today. We're going to talk about the dark side of Disney. We're making Jack Skellington cookies, a classic Disney holiday movie. So let's get behind the Disney Corporation, worth over $203 billion, bullying more than $65 billion a year. So with that kind of money and power, there's always something hidden beneath the surface. Walt Disney, the creator, the genius behind this amazing corporation that creates movies that we love, but he also has some rumors from his past, starting with, as many people know, the myth that he wanted to be cryogenically frozen after death so that in the future, technology could bring him back. While there's no proof of this at all, that he actually did it, that his head is hiding anywhere, he was very fascinated by the concept, which says a lot about what he was thinking when it comes to death, his obsession with control, and wanting to live longer than he was meant to. But another rumor circulating is whether or not he was a racist, sexist, anti-Semitic person, particularly through the way he portrays certain characters in his movies. We'll take Song of the South, a film that's considered one of Hollywood's most offensive depictions of slavery. Critics call it a dangerously glorified picture of slavery. They say it's a movie showing how happy-go-lucky slaves are excited to do their master's work. And it just overall was not a good look. Now, was he just being ignorant to the times, or was it true racism? Hard to say. One researcher who had full access to the Disney archives said Walt wasn't personally racist, just racially insensitive, like most white Americans of his time. But Meryl Streep once called him out for his racist proclivities and gender bigotry. What does proclivities mean? Let's find out, because I don't know. I guess it's just like an inherent bias that people have, so his natural inclination towards something. So he had a natural inclination towards racism. Love that. Anyways, he was quoted also saying that women do not do creative work, that's for men. And yet, on the other hand, he also fought for a black actor to win an honorary Oscar. So, like most powerful people, he's a contradiction. Progress, prejudice, all of it, all mixed together. And before he died, he had the idea of an experimental prototype community of tomorrow. Or, as you know it, Epcot. But an actual true community. Sounds fun, right? An ideal utopia of sorts, with no slums, no poverty, and no democracy. It would have been led by one autocratic leader with total control, almost like the way the Disney brand operates today. But outside of his personality type, whether he was racist or not, how much influence did he have in the real world? In the American government, perhaps? What was his political affiliations? Let's talk about Walt Disney's politics, because this one's a little messy. He was accused of being pro-Nazi, though some historians will defend him, saying that he's personally not anti-Semitic. He was attending German-American Bund meetings, that is the Nazi American Party, with his lawyer. And he gave a personal tour of his studios to Leni Riefenstahl, probably pronouncing that wrong, who was a filmmaker making propaganda for Hitler. And that's not the only thing. The company did release a version of Three Little Pigs where the big bad wolf disguises himself as a stereotypic Jewish peddler. Later, the versions are removed of it because it's seen as depicting Jewish people in the exact light that Hitler was at the time they were being prosecuted. But when it was removed, it was only after people complained about it. Now, on the other hand, yes, Walt Disney did create an anti-Nazi propaganda film for the US government. A couple of them, De Fuhrer's Face and Education for Death. But think about it. Would he be doing this if this wasn't commissioned by the government? Were his goodwill tours to Latin America, where he basically acted as a Hollywood ambassador to fight Nazi influence, patriotism or PR? Because when your company's image is tied to morality, doing what's right and doing what's profitable can start to look the same. Oh, and by the way, he was said to have had a relationship with the FBI director Edgar Hoover. He was possibly an FBI informant, which has been a claim made in the past. And that could supposedly be why he had so much influence in government propaganda. And how far-fetched is it to think that with that type of relationship, the FBI wouldn't also have access to Disney scripts that they could possibly have an influence on the public? But in my opinion, if you're consistently attending pro-Nazi meetings and taking personal tours for close friends of Hitler, that makes me believe individually you aligned more with that. But from a branding perspective, the corporation of Disney would look progressive and on the positive side of history, aligning with the pushback from Americans, and that would be a win for his reputation. Like, all right, Deirdra, old news, what about now? The company has to be different now, right? It's been decades since he's been gone. Disney would surely clean up its act, but maybe not. Maybe the Disney Corporation today feels even darker than it did back then, just dressed up in better marketing. Back then, at least there was some passion behind storytelling. Now, it's all about profit, because as a owner who has bought this company or joined this, you didn't have that same level of passion or love for art in the way that Walt did. Now, Disney owns ABC, 80% of ESPN, Marvel, Lucasfilm, Pixar, 21st Century Fox, most of Hulu, and pieces of A&E, Lifetime, the History Channel, and Vice Media. That's a monopoly, guys. When one company owns the majority of what we watch, that's control. They get to decide what message reaches us and which ones don't. Even the parks, let's jump to the Disney-themed parks and how they are designed psychologically to make you spend more. We could call that great marketing, but at what point do we cross the line? Do we say that it is or isn't okay when you steer a person towards doing what you want? It's not explicitly harmful, but is it wrong? When you do a little research, you find that they are pumping artificial smells through crowded areas to make guests calm and happy. The dark pathways, this one, more of a conspiracy, but they are said to draw all that Florida sun in and push the guests into stores and restaurants, leading them to want to buy more. The linear design of the park is made to feel like it never ends in order to keep their guests as long as possible. And then they have the strategic placement of gift shops so that guests will pass by when they feel the most happy after riding an attraction. They even use off-putting colors to keep guests away from unwanted areas. Is it just marketing? Or is it exploitative to use this sort of psychological condition? Some of it seems totally unharmful, but others, a little too much. But something still doesn't sit right with me about that. I don't know. But this is where it really gets dark. You may have heard of this lawsuit, but there was a man that died from a food allergy at a Disney Springs restaurant after being assured that the meal was safe. His wife sued, but Disney got the case dismissed because he had unknowingly agreed to arbitration when he signed up for a free Disney Plus trial. That this trial had in its terms and conditions, if you die at any restaurant from Disney, you have no rights to sue us. Insanity. Like, what do you mean I can't sue you when get this, guys. These individuals knew he had intense allergies. They multiple times spoke to the waiter, spoke to them about the allergies, they said, we're good, like, you won't have any problems. They went to a specific restaurant that was known for being able to work around that. And it still happened, even checking once more when the food arrived at the table. And yet this billion-dollar company would not pay $50,000 in damages, which is what the suer was asking for something that was 100% their fault. If that isn't greed, what is? Speaking of greed, you might wonder, oh, well, what's wrong with a monopoly? What's the issue with that? Well, first of all, having so much ownership over the film industry and now falling into the stream industry and trying to take that over too means you now have more control over the movie theaters, what is played, how often it's played, what the ticket prices are. Then goes originality, indie films. Those go straight to the streaming services. because they don't have as much control as these big corporations like Disney. They can charge more as a monopoly and make the same movies over and over and over. People will pay to see them because that's all that there is. It's already happening, and we see it with Marvel. What are the original films? They're disappearing. All we have now is sequels, reboots, and prequels. Innovation costs money, and you'd think they'd have enough to do that. Yet they still care more about that than the quality of a new movie. And the thing about a monopoly, which I like to think of the actual game Monopoly as an analogy, is the game is much funner when you have 4 players, when there's competition, when you're going back and forth, not when there's only one left that has everything, controls everything, and has kicked every single other person out of the game. And that's exactly what this organization is doing. Now, if you think that's okay, how about we talk about this influence on our day-to-day lives? You look at politics. Go to open.secrets.com, shows you all of the money that is spent on lobbying. Looking at Walt Disney Inc., you will see that $5.5 million was spent on lobbying by Walt Disney in 2024. Imagine adding up all of the organizations and companies they own and seeing how much they would influence our political system. Whatever side of the political spectrum you're on doesn't really matter, because regardless, things get really dark when you know democracy is not in the hands of the voters, but in the hands of those with money. Let's get into the stuff that's a little more psychological in the actual movies that Disney produces. Have you noticed that all the parents always die? There's either only one mother, one father, both parents are gone. What's up with all the hidden adult jokes and sexual innuendos in these movies? Let's start with the parents dying. We think about it. Bambi, The Lion King, Finding Nemo, Frozen, the list goes on. It's almost like a formula. Kill the parents, create some drama, and force growth. What is that about? Like, can't we just have some happy-go-lucky time watching these Disney movies? So why is that? Some say it's because kids can relate to independence faster that way. Others think that Walter's personal guilt and his own mother dying in a tragic gas leak accident led him to continue writing pain into his stories. But either way, Disney movies constantly teach children that growth only comes after loss. It is powerful, but it's also a little dark, conditioning young minds that trauma equals transformation. And there's the more inappropriate stuff, the weird stuff, the sexual innuendos that you might have heard of, the hidden adult imagery, like in The Little Mermaid. The castle on the front cover of the movie had a phallic-shaped tower. In The Lion King, there's dust that rises, and it spells SEX, although animators claim that it actually said SFX, a hidden thing that they would do when a certain special effect took a lot of time, and they would just put it in as an Easter egg. In Aladdin, people swear they heard a line that said, "Good teenagers, take off your clothes." Coincidences? Mishearing? Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe animators were sneaking in adult humor to entertain the parents. I personally love a Disney movie that has adult humor that my, nieces and nephews wouldn't always understand. But on the other hand, can that be seen as taking it too far and being inappropriate? Sometimes when there's a few, you can say, oh, it's just an accident. But when you continue to see a theme, is it coincidence or not? Maybe it is just humor. Maybe it's a quiet way to normalize adult themes early on. What do you guys think? On the other hand, there is good social conditioning. You have movies like Zootopia, Inside Out, Soul, who teach you about prejudice, psychology, emotion, spirituality. But there is a fine line between education and emotional programming. Is Disney practically controlling childhood storytelling because they've taken up so much of that market space? If they define what's normal, what's right, what's wrong, they also define how kids grow up seeing the world. Maybe Disney's darkest secret isn't in their past. Maybe it's in the fact that these stories don't just entertain children, but they shape them. Dun dun dun! Don't forget to leave me all your thoughts down below. What do you think? What about the history that you learned today? I'll leave some links of all the information and where I found it. And tell me if you enjoyed this kind of video. I'm thinking of doing one for Coraline. All of the hidden messages, symbols, and theories that you missed, while sharing some Coraline-themed macaroon button cookies. And that's how you make these delicious Jack Skellington sugar cookies filled with a chocolate ganache. They are so beautiful, y'all. Oh my gosh. People will definitely be impressed when you pull up to any party with some of these. So if you want the measurements, if you want all the specific ingredients and measurements, it's down below in the description box. You can go to my blog for that recipe. And please give this video a like, subscribe to stay tuned. I'm here every week, week and a half. I'm trying to get consistent, guys, but it's hard. It's hard, but I'm on it. I'm going hard till the end of this year. Well, next year too, but I just want to be more consistent all the way to the end of the year. Also, please let me know what you guys want to watch. So I want to do these recipe videos, but I also want to do fun videos too, maybe like trying TikTok viral dessert recipes or testing out different dessert snacks at stores. I think that's what I want to do next. I don't know about y'all, but I be loving those mukbangs, the mukbangs with the dessert where it's chocolate cake and donuts. Now, I don't want to eat all that, but I actually want to taste test it and see how good it actually tastes. Also, I used to do like dessert reviews of places in Atlanta, because that's where I live, to see like which ones were good. So if you guys would like a long form video of that, I think that could be really cool. Like 10 of the best bakeries in Atlanta or something like that. I don't know. Let me know what y'all want to see. Because I'm down to expand. I'm down to expand outside of the recipes. I really love YouTube. I love YouTube. I love YouTube, guys. I don't know. Like, this is my favorite place to be. Okay. See y'all next week. Thank you. Bye.